Good morning. Welcome to a fantastic Friday. Let's learn to grow by adding power to our dreams and let's manifest them by going into fluid movement. More power to us. All right. So we've been talking about scanners, and today we'll talk about which form of scanner we could be. Especially today, we're talking to talk about, are you a jack of all trades? Simply that, are we into every single thing and doing it, but yet not mastered it? Yesterday we talked about how we master and we move on. So let's understand which kind of personality trait do we have. Chapter 16, are you a jack of all trades? I am good at a lot and great at nothing. I can't believe I'll ever find my passion. I'm always hoping that the next thing I try will be the one thing I shine at, my calling, my brilliant career. Are you a jack of all trades? Do you have any more certificates or degrees than most people, all in different disciplines? Are you good at just about everything you try? Have you ever thought your problem would be solved if you were good at only one thing? Do bosses and teachers try to keep you on board? Do you notice that other people are passionate about things you merely like? Would you rather learn how to plant a garden, work with friends to paint a house, or just have a great day with your family than any job you can think of? If you said yes to most of these questions, you're a jack of all trades. And chances are it's caused you some discomfort until now. That's because no one, including you, has ever tried to figure out why you always move from trade to trade and never become a master. You only know that you enjoy learning for its own sake and because many things come very easily to you. So you sometimes underestimate the value. After all, important things have to be hard, don't they? If that's a conditioning, then of course, so we are. It also feels like every door is open and the number of choices can be bewildering. You don't fear hard work, in fact. You take real pride in doing a good job and enjoy being seen as capable and reliable. You're social, friendly, you like being helpful to others because you're typically conscientious and easygoing. Employers, teachers, and colleagues often try to recruit you to sign up on a permanent basis. But you're still looking for your great passion and have been complaints that being good at almost everything isn't the same as being great at one thing. You wish you were passionate about something so you could finally pick a career. However, you might be looking in the wrong place because, in fact, Jacks can be very passionate. It's just that they're rarely passionate about one career. Now, let's understand what's happening with us if we are Jack of all trades. We're looking for love in all the wrong places. Phil keeps trying. It, Each time he signs up for a course of study or steps into a new job, he's determined to make a permanent commitment because he wants to stop searching and settle down with one career and one lifestyle. At first, everything looks wonderful. He can smell himself being happy and he can see himself being happy and working with people he'd really like. But after a short time, he sees that something about the situation won't fill the bill and he starts planning his getaway. Phil tried business schools and did well in all his classes, but he realized that he didn't share his classmates' interest in getting rich or making VP. So after a few semesters, he left. He considered becoming a scuba and diving instructor because he loves that sea. He's a natural swimmer and he loves sea animals. He thought he had it right this time, so he went to the Bahamas to start his training. The instructor noticed right away that he had the temperament, physical ability to dive professionally and told him so. For 1 month, Phil learned rapidly, but a familiar feeling was creeping into his heart. I didn't like it as much as expected, he said to himself and to Barbara Sher. Not as a way of life, and this was very disappointing. I knew my search wasn't over. Because Phil has a natural ability with languages, he lived overseas for a number of years. I taught English in Japan right out of college, he said, and liked a lot of things about it. I'd take the students out of the classroom and we'd go on field trips, or I'd teach them to sing Bob Dylan songs. The head of the school asked me to open and run an additional school, but that same feeling kept creeping in. Is this so? Is this what I really want? Photographer, tour guide, import exporter, one after another. Phil tried different fields, but they all came up the same. All my friends have settled down into careers, and I'm the only one still flouting and floating. I just don't know what's the matter with me. Now he's not alone. There are many people still looking for that one thing. Martha writes, let's see what she writes. I am now 51 years old and never ever have found one burning passion in life that others seem to find. It was frustrating to me to see friends and colleagues catch fire and dedicate themselves totally to their goal. Meanwhile, I kicked around for almost 20 years in this family business, got a degree in psychology, tried social work for a while, quit that, got a degree in computer science, have worked in that for 15 years, now getting ready to quit and get my teaching degree so I can teach math in high school, junior school. I've always been very successful at what I do, but I get really bored and disenchanted after a while. I've actually liked my choices and like a lot of the hobbies I do, such as golf, reading, bodybuilding, geology, travel. But none of them is an overriding passion, and I get bored if I delve too long or don't look into new things. A drawback that I have seen in with this lifestyle is that you have to start at the bottom numerous times in your life. Deborah says, I really like learning how to understand the language of a new field, but once I do, the desire to bury myself in that field is gone. It's over, kaput. I am coming to the conclusion that I may never bury myself in any field at all. Now, to those of us who haven't found their calling, it may look like a dead sea, doesn't it? How can you overcome the inevitable disenchantment? Jacks have so much talent, but that's not all that they have. They are the ones who show up and deliver. They do the job with all these qualities. They should be hugely successful in business or the arts or some profession, but they rarely are. Why? Because fields and professions aren't what matters to Jacks at all. They aren't really looking for the right career, although they sincerely believe they are. In fact, a Jack is satisfied with any pleasant job if the pay, the hours, and the co workers are decent. He can even tolerate detail work, which others might not. That's because a Jack of all trades cares primarily about his surroundings, including people he works with. It's not winning that matters either. In fact, Jacks don't care much about success at all. They just want to be happy. Lionel is a good example. When I think about why I tried one thing and then another, it was never primarily ambitious or ambition. When I went to get the computer science certificate, I thought this will only give me a lucrative job, but I'll be around smart people like my high school friends. I'll see how for my brain can go and can have a great time. Turned out to be the case for me, so I kept on looking. Now there are jacks who still find their career. So let's see how. Let's read about Phil's story to understand how Phil found his career. Now, one day, Phil took a low paying proofreading job at a small advertising agency. He did such a good job of catching and mixing and fixing editing mistakes that he was soon promoted to editor. One day, he was walking to the office and was called over to help brainstorm slogans for an ad, something he often did on his own for fun. He did such a good job that he was called in every session and was soon promoted to copywriter. When he saw some proofreading came back and he'd already done. We created a system to cut out the duplication of work and effort that existed in the proofreading process. He also wrote a procedure manual for one of the computer systems that he was learning in. Since he spoke a number of languages, he was soon often put on the phone with foreign clients and dealt with them so successfully that he was asked to take over the job of entertaining them when they came to town. And because Phil loved nightclubs and music and joking with friends, he was always a big hit with the foreign clients and knew all the best restaurants and most interesting sightseeing. He found a museum of shoes for one client's daughters. He was given 3 days, three salaries raises in the first year. How would you like to be general manager of this place? The boss asked him. Not at all. Well, what do you want? I like things the way they are. This is a friendly place and everything's interesting. You let me do different things and I have no complaints. In our interview, he told me, I liked stepping in and saving the day. I've done so many things. I usually know how to solve problems. I guess that's my forte. I guess that's my most marketable skill. Phil is right about that. If there was a job called most valuable player on the team, he'd always have the qualifications, almost without exception. This type of scanner is gifted at something you don't find on career list. Catching the ball in a team situation, bailing out the other player, saving the day. Now, Hilary, another jack of all trades, was very happy to find this out. She wrote, until you told me I was a rescuer, I had no idea what pattern or theme ran through anything I did. And even then, I'd have assumed that meant I should be a foot psychotherapist or a doctor, but I wouldn't like studying for those fields, too isolating. I like stepping in and solving problems, seeing smiles and hanging out with the people. Mark, another Jack type scanner, agreed. If I'd been the type, I probably would have been a wastrel, a fraternity boy, airhead in beer guzzling contests. I know I'm not stupid, but I'd rather not be a serious type. I fix the problem and then let's play. That's my motto. If you're a jack of all trades, keep in mind that there's nothing missing from your resume you've been looking for in the wrong place, or rather applying the wrong criteria to your abilities. It's not a title or a huge salary you want. More than almost any scanner type, what matters to you is happens. Now, if you can make that your main objective, success will come quicker than you think. So, very, very important. Success is dependent upon your happiness quotient. If you're happy, you're successful financially, emotionally. It could be a mixture of all, it could be probably just one facet, doesn't matter. But if you are peaceful, if you're happy, what you really want will any which ways come to you. You don't even have to look for it then. So the thing people are doing is they're finding something outside. Now, what you have, do with joy and do with passion, do with happiness, automatically life will unfold. And that's a spiritual angle of our profession. Now, what about that passion that you were looking for? Are jacks doomed to never have passion? Not at all. You might be very close to finding it. Just have to stop looking for it. As much as you enjoy training for a career, your passion is probably waiting somewhere else. Phil found his somewhere he hadn't ever been looking. He and his wife had a baby. and he realized that he was born to be a father. He used the internet to find editing and proofreading work and gave up all the work and took him away from the house so he could stay home and with his little boy. I want to be here so I can play with him, see him grow up, he said. He loves to cook, and often his friends invite him over for dinner, and he invites them over for dinner. When the baby was born, Phil picked up the guitar after a long hiatus and started playing tunes for the little baby, which gave them both pleasure. Jake, one of his friends who often came to dinner with his two children, heard Phil play and persuaded him to join his band. Now, Phil is performing and writing songs. Jake is another amiable jack of all trades who knows how to do just about everything. Phil doesn't, and they spend many hours recording their songs, creating graphics and the covers on the website. Jack does the graphics, Phil writes the copy, and visiting clubs and restaurants to drum up gigs. The kids always come with us, Phil smiled. I'm sure they get up business because they're so cute. That was something interesting, unexpected, I said. I searched for years and couldn't find what I wanted and discovered two passions in the same year. Now I'm happy singing daddy, and my wife loves it. So, what's the career solution for all jack of all trades? Because they're a modern day version of the Renaissance universal man, the courtly fellow who dueled and danced equally well. They won't fit into any defined profession. They'll always enjoy learning new skills, being involved in team projects. So, where should they look for work? The answer is anywhere they like. Your career can be anything at all. It doesn't matter what job you enter or what level. Like Phil, you'll probably be promoted when they see what you can do. If you don't have the needed skills, you learn them fast because you know how to learn. It's one of those meta skills you've picked up in your travels. And as long as the people treat you or each other as reasonably well, you'll be contented. If things get unpleasant, you'll probably leave, but in most cases, you just have much trouble finding another job. Everyone needs someone like you, and you'll always enjoy being the capable one, the go to guy, the helper. But that doesn't mean you can continue to explore new fields if that's fun for you. Just don't sign up and start writing checks. If you happen to see a career or business or some sort of a program that looks interesting, find a way to try it out without committing too much of your time or money. If nothing else comes to you, you'll have a chance to learn new things and make new friends. Tryouts can be very simple and easy to do. This story by a scanner will illustrate one of the main kinds of career tryouts. So let's read the next story to understand that people who keep trying careers, what is their take? Now, for one pre-Christmas season, I worked at a department store photo studio, Mac Photo to me, and I did it to see if I could be comfortable taking pic of people as compared to my usual landscape photography. I thought I'd like to try to taking pictures of babies and kids, but it's such an unnatural environment for them that the photos were run of the mill. But with one family, I worked surprisingly well. It was a woman who had just had her birthday, and I could see she was uncomfortable with getting older. She came with two teenagers who barely spoke to each other. I had them laughing and teasing each other in no time, and I got better pictures than I'd ever gotten of people before. Guess it goes to show we really need to get out there to try stuff and stop searching things to death. Stop researching things to death. Often, the best way for a jack to try out careers is to take a contract job. While most scanners take contract work in one field, their main motivation being is to have free time to do what they really, really love. Jacks can sign up for a project because they enjoy doing different kinds of work and picking up new knowledge. It's the best thing in the world if you get hired to do work on a project basis. You meet new people, you learn how to do interesting things, and when you leave, no one ever gives you a hard time, one client told me. So just that is a passion, and they're moving on, they're finding new things and moving on and finding new things. And then when that solves the purpose, they move on, they again switch. And what about your passion? Keep shopping, you'll find it. So yesterday I was talking to one of my teachers, and she says, it's interesting to shop for spirituality. And I was like, really? And she's like, don't just wait for it. Don't just be very anxious. Let it unfold automatically. Whenever you're going, whatever you like will come to you automatically. If you're looking for it, it may not find you, but if you are just there, then automatically you'll see it and you'll want to buy it. So, in our lifespan and our passion, in our whatever we call it, it'll come to us if it's meant to come to us. Just let yourself be. Keep shopping, you'll find it, but it will probably never be connected to a career, a school, a certificate, even status or money. It'll always be connected with good people, good home, good friends, family life, and some intense interests like gardening, small business, sailing, a band like Phil's. Think about it. What would a good life look like to you? Forget the status symbols and titles that matter to your friends and see what you really need to make you happy. Think back to the good times in your life and see if you can isolate the elements that mattered most to you. They count more than anything else, especially to a scanner like you who wants nothing more than to rack up one happy day after another. If you keep these elements in mind, you'll know what you're looking for and can work towards getting them into your life now. Now, let's talk about our life design models. The best life design model for a jack of all trades is the MVP, also known as most valuable player model. It's a great model job, career job for you because it means you can change interests and jobs when you choose, when you feel the time is right, and without taking any stress about finding the next right career. When you live by the MVP life design model, you never again will feel that any past choice was a mistake or that there's anything wrong with leaving to find something new because every new thing you do adds to your skill and your value. The knowledge you gain will be needed by the people around you sooner or later, and you'll be glad to share it. But above and beyond work, Jacks are happiest with an additional life design model. The good life model. Jacks have many talents, have many talents, but they have to admit that the greatest talent is knowing how to live a good life. That's why the good life model is best for most Jacks of all trades. It means that whenever, whatever comes Jack's ways, the first question won't have to be, will this lead to success? From now on, he only has to ask, will this make me happy? More consciously than any other type of scanner, having good days with good people is what Jack really wants. And if he sets up the good life as his operating model, he won't forget that. So, quick reminder for all of us, let's embrace that life where we say good life is our operating model. We need good life with good people. Next, let's look at the content CNC, our life design models for Jack of all trades. What is it? The most valuable player model, the good life model, we studied about them. Careers could be contract work, multiple income streams, telecommuter, editor, written translations, troubleshooter, the good enough job. Our scanner kit is the same, which will have career tryouts, scanners finish. Scanners finish, if you remember, we talked about scanners finish that we can finish something sometime and keep them ready for us. The tools for jack of all trade. When it comes to organizing your space, you need to be the scanner with the smallest clutter problem. You often don't need to work with the calendar either. You don't manufacture ideas at high speed and you tend to put the ones that interest you into action. But if you think building a shed would be a great idea, you'll do it. This makes the scanner day book less urgent for you than for scanners who fear they lose their best ideas. But like all other scanners, you start a lot of things. In your case, you'll have artifacts from one career or another. So you will need a way to wrap up your projects and create a visual place to show what you've done on your travels through your life. Now, so can we turn the page? Depending on what kind of things we're talking about, you'll want the scanner's finish and some version of the life's work bookshelf. How about a collage of all the certificates in a large framed picture to show what you've learned? Add photographs of the things you've done and the places you've been to remind yourself that you're not just a helpful person who's good at a lot of things, but you're a highly accomplished person in your own right. And leave plenty of space for the untried trades you're going to learn in the future. Because your exploring isn't over. Talent always wants something new to learn. So isn't that wonderful that we are all talented and we are finding something new, and it's not hurried, it's not, and whatever you haven't tried, you can try that on. So let's understand one thing. We must have plenty of time, space in our mind to learn something so beautiful and empowering. With this note, we conclude this beautiful chapter. Tomorrow, there'll be another chapter on If You're a Wanderer. And until then, let's do our sun salutations and let's take power and blessings from the sun. And then move on to our most beautiful chapter in Letting Go. And it's one of the most profound books available, and we are going to increase our power by always learning to let go and live a life of substance where we resonate and we're living life freely, because that's the power of life. Absolutely. All right, let's go for it. Rahul sir, let's bring on the sun salutations.
The Surya Namaskar with mantras. Om Mitraye Namaha. Om Ravaye Namaha. Om Suryaye Namaha. Om Bhanave Namaha. Om Khagaye Namaha. Om Pushne Namaha. Om Hiranyagarbhaye Namaha. Om Marichaye Namaha. Om Adityay Namaha. Om Savitre Namaha. Om Arkay Namaha. Om Bhaskaray Namaha. Salutations to the universal friend. Salutations to the resplendent sun. Salutations to the energy that induces activity within us. Salutations to the one who illumines. Salutations to the sun moving across the sky. Salutations to the giver of strength. Salutations to the golden cosmic self. Salutations to the Lord of the dawn. Salutations to the son of Aditi, the cosmic mother. Salutations to the benevolent mother. Salutations to the energy that we praise, and to the one who guides us to salvation. The sun salutation now with the names of the postures, both in Sanskrit and English. Pranamasan, Hastuthanasan, Madhastasan, left leg back, Ashvasanchalanasana, Parvatasan, and hold this position, and now slowly progressing into the deeper version of Parvatasan, Adho Mukh Svanasana. Ashtang Namaskar, Bhujangasana, Parvatasan, left forward Ashvasanchalanasana, Padahastasana, Hastuthanasan, Pranamasan. On the right side, prayer position, raised arms pose, hand to feet pose, right leg back, equestrian pose, mountain pose, hold mountain pose, and slowly moving into the deeper version of mountain, the downward facing dog. Salute with 8 limbs. Cobra. Press back to mountain. Right forward, equestrian pose. Hand to feet pose. Raised arms position. Prayer pose. One round of the sun salutation with awareness on the breathing. So exhaling our hands to the chest, pranam. Inhaling as we bend back. We exhale as we fold forward. Left leg back, inhale as we're arching back. Exhale into the forward. Hold the breath for knees, chest, chin. Inhale as we arch back. Exhale into the forward. Left leg forward, inhale. This is a back bend. Exhale whenever we bend forward. Inhale as we bend back. Exhale, hands to the chest. And on the right, deep breathing. Exhale. A deep inhale. A long exhale. Right leg back with an inhale. And exhale. Hold the breath. Inhale. And exhale. Right leg forward with a deep inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale.
So yesterday in our book of Letting Go, we talked about glamour and we said it's not artificial to live a glamorous life, but the concept of glamour taking over our inner peace of mind is what we have to relate to. If we start attracting everything beautifully, if we don't have double standards, and if we are just in a fashion that whatever we want comes to us so easily, why will we have to run after anything? Why will there be something that is not coming to us? It's very simple. When you raise your vibration, when you have oneness with whatever you want, even if it's something which is glamorous, something which is prestigious, maybe a very beautiful car or maybe some kind of stuff, then it's like when you know that you have it by living in it, by being it, you're giving a lot of power and energy. And then everything comes to you very easily. Now, that is what we are working on ourselves. So whatever we hold in our mind tends to manifest. That's what we learned yesterday. And today we're going to realize that what is the power of inner decision. हमने बात करी थी संकल्प की, हमने बात की थी desire की. And let's talk about this. What is the power of inner decisions? These are not philosophical positions, but practical processes that can be proven through experience. It is easy to experiment with these concepts and watch the automatic results take place. Because the mind's tendency to want to attribute credit elsewhere, other than the power of our own consciousness, it is good to keep a diary, to write down goals if you really want to achieve and then check them off and make follow-up notes. Why? Because it will take a while before we believe that it is truly our own power that is accomplishing these ends. Here is an interesting example of the denial of inner power. Very, very, very important for everyone. Please, कभी कोई brilliant ideas आए, चाहे रात को सोते वक्त आए. मैंने पहले भी कई लोग बताया था, मैं आज repeat करती हूँ. Please keep a small little diary on your bedside. प्लीज कभी भी आइडिया आए मिड रात में भी, मैं तो बीच रात में भी उठ के या तो मोबाइल पे खोल के अपना एक जो मेरा ग्रुप है वहां डाल देती हूँ आइडियाज, या मैं लिख लेती हूँ. उस आइडियाज लिखना या गोल्स लिखना अनिवार्य है, इंपॉर्टेंट है, बिकॉज जब तक आप लिखेंगे नहीं, आपको समझ में नहीं आएगा आपको अचीव करने, वो सिर्फ दिमाग में रहेंगे. दिमाग में हजारों थॉट्स आती हैं जाती हैं एंड इट विल बी लॉस्ट. आप उसको पावर ही नहीं ऐड कर पाएंगे. So please learn the science of writing down your decisions, your goals, your whatever ideas are coming in your mind. Now let's read an interesting example of a denial of the inner power. A man who was desperate for a job and pretty frantic about it was instructed on how to apply the letting go technique to his job situation. Now, because he was religious, he was advised to forget about getting a job and turn it over to God and to surrender his desire in the matter while staying open to what might happen. Now, a week later, he recounted, well, the day when I surrendered wanting a job, nothing happened. I got a long distance phone call from my brother-in-law and I am going to be joining his firm. If it weren't for my brother-in-law, I never would have gotten a job. It's a good thing I didn't wait for God. Look at this. उसने ये एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं किया, किसी और को क्रेडिट दे दिया. आपने सरेंडर किया तो आपके ब्रदर इन लॉ ने इनवाइट किया ना आपको, बट आप रिलेट ही नहीं करते. आप लोग कई बार मुझे बहुत लोग बोलते हैं पता नहीं कैसे हो गया. अरे पता है ना, आपने इंटेंशन रखा था, आपने लेट गो किया था, तभी तो हुआ है. बट ये हम भूल जाते हैं, इसलिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है उसको भी एक्नॉलेज करना. This is a good example of what the mind has a tendency to do. It has its own surrender, of course, that brought in the call from his brother in law. He was so frantically desiring the job that the desire was blocked the fulfillment of the goal. When he let go of wanting a job, it quickly appeared within 24 hours. But the propensity of the mind is to disown one's own power and project it elsewhere in the world. हमारी पावर हमको समझ में नहीं आती कि हम कितने पावरफुल है, कितने मैजिकल हैं, भरे पड़े हैं मैजिक से, हम भूल जाते हैं. This is why people in their own estimation think they are powerless. They have the power, but they have merely projected it onto external forces. We are all powerful beings who have become unconscious of our own power. We have denied and projected it onto others out of guilt and our own sense of smallness. The majority of what happens in a lifetime is a result of some decision we have made somewhere in the past, either consciously or unconsciously. Because it is so very simple. Then to see our past decisions by looking at our life and tracking backwards. This principle is demonstrated by a woman who came for psychotherapy. She needed treatment because, in her words, my relationships never work out. She had one unsatisfactory love affair after another and was always left feeling used and abused. She was full of resentment, self-pity, depression. The problem, of course, was giving an open sentence. My relationships never work out. अगर हम ऐसा बिलीफ रखेंगे तो ऐसा ही होगा ना. बिलीफ सिस्टम्स अगर कुछ हम गलत बोलते हैं, हमको उसको करेक्शन देना पड़ेगा कि मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ यार. ये मेरी कंडीशनिंग है, मेरा बिलीफ है कि ये सही है, बट क्या ये सच है, क्या ये अच्छा है, क्या मेरे लिए कंड्यूसिव है ये वाली बात बोलना. अगर नहीं तो आई मस्ट चेंज इट. Now, because we deny the power of our own mind, we don't see the glaringly obvious. It is very curious how we don't have, how we are so unaware. Here is a woman who has the answer sitting right there, but she does not see that it's an answer. She doesn't see the power in her own belief system. Our mind is so powerful that if we hold a single thought, such as my relationships never work out, then this is most likely going to happen in our life. Our unconscious genie. You know, all of us have a genie. मांगो और मिलेगा, मांगो और मिलेगा. इसके बारे में हम जानते नहीं, इस पावर के बारे में जानते ही नहीं. Now, this unconscious genie, which can only take orders and not make decisions, which can only understand what you're resonating at in the point of your vibration, your frequency, sees that our relationships don't work out because we say again and again, my relationships never work out. Now, of course, the lady gets a payoff from her disappointment relationship history. She's got to experience self-pity, resentment, jealousy, envy, and all those gratifications the small self feeds on endlessly. अब हमारी जो ईगो है वो इसी दुनिया पे तो जीता है ना. दिस इज व्हाट इट लिव्स ऑन. ये दुनिया तो ऐसी ही है, अब्यूज करती है, यूज करती है, एंड यू नो मेरे साथ तो ऐसा हुआ, उसको देखो कितना अच्छा चल रहा है. दिस इज व्हाट इट फील्स. काम ही उसका ये है. Now, if we look at that small part of ourselves, we will see that this is the kind of thing in which it just loves to wallow. The small self, the ego, glorifies in how miserable life is, how tough luck is, how rotten experiences have been, and how mean people have been to us. But we pay a big price when we listen to this set of programs. The corollary is obviously true. If our mind, by its decision, has the power to make negative things happen in our life, then it has had equal power in the opposite positive direction. We can choose all over again. This time, we can choose the positive. We can cancel the old programs, and we can do this by beginning to relinquish the gratification we were getting out of the negative payoffs. Now that we have looked at the subject a bit, we can come up with a term that most aptly describe the set of emotions as selfishness. The mere use of the word instantly sets up a resistance due to guilt. We all feel guilty because of selfishness. This puts us in an impossible position because, in order to carry out what the world has taught us, we have to indulge in the very thing with which the world condemns us: selfishness. To look at the subject, let's first make a decision that we are not going to beat ourselves up about it, and that we are not going to be getting into self-indulgence or guilt. And that's what guilt is, really, isn't it? Self-indulgence. किसने बोल दिया कि सेल्फिश होना बुरा है? बट हाँ, किसी ने बोल दिया सेल्फिश होना बुरा है। अगर आप सेल्फ, इसमें भी हम स्पिरिचुअल पैराडाइम से बात करते हैं, दो टाइप के सेल्फ होते हैं, लोअर सेल्फ, हायर सेल्फ। लोअर सेल्फ इज ईगो, मुझे अपने ईगो के लिए इतना मुकाम पे पहुंचना है, मुझे ये करना है, मुझे वो करना है। और एक होता है मुझे तो आध्यात्म में आगे पढ़ना है, या मुझे तो अच्छा बेटर इंसान बनना है, वांट टू बिकम अ चैनल ऑफ लव एंड लाइट। अगर उसके लिए मैं सेल्फिश हो रहा हूँ, 4 घंटा 2 घंटा पढ़ रहा हूँ, इट्स ओके। Now, let's look at this word selfishness a little more closely as just merely describing the collective motivations and modes of operations of the small cell, the genetic aspect of the mind, which due to our own naivety, we allowed ourselves to be programmed with, and which we are now resolved to deprogram and reverse, like the installed command on a computer. अगर हमने अपने दिमाग के अंदर विचार बनाए हैं कि अहम ईगो अच्छा है, ये अच्छा है, वो अच्छा है, अपनी अपनी इनोसेंस की वजह से हमने उस प्रोग्रामिंग को कंडीशन होने दिया अपने लिए, हम उसको चेंज कर सकते हैं, रीप्रोग्राम कर सकते हैं, डीप्रोग्राम कर सकते हैं, अनराइट कर सकते हैं, कंट्रोल और डिलीट कर सकते हैं। कुछ हमने ही जाने अनजाने में वो प्रोग्राम्स बनाए थे, और हम ही उनको बदल सकते हैं। नाउ क्यों सेल्फिशनेस को लेट गो करना है? लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड दैट द रीजन टू लेट गो ऑफ सेल्फिशनेस इज नॉट बिकॉज ऑफ गिल्ट, ना, नॉट बिकॉज इट्स सिन, कोई पाप नहीं है, नॉट बिकॉज इट्स रॉन्ग, गलत नहीं है। ऑल सच मोटिवेशंस कम फ्रॉम लोअर कॉन्शियसनेस एंड सेल्फ जजमेंट। लोअर कॉन्शियसनेस मतलब हम अवेयर ही नहीं है, हम अपने आप को जज करते हैं तो गिल्ट ट्रिप में जाते हैं, गिल्ट ट्रिप में जाते हैं तो रिजेंटमेंट आता है, रिजेंटमेंट आता है तो बहुत कुछ आता है। Now, rather, the reason to let go of selfishness is simply because it is impractical. It doesn't work. It's too costly. It consumes too much energy. It delays the accomplishment of our goals and the realization of our wants. Because it's very, very, very nature, this small self is a creator of guilt and it's self-perpetuator. जहाँ गिल्ट आएगा वहां प्रॉब्लम्स आएंगी ही आएंगी। गिल्ट की वजह से हम हमेशा एक वैक्यूम में रहेंगे, हमेशा हमें एक लालसा रहेगी कि अरे सक्सेस लेंगे तो ऐसा प्रॉब्लम आ जाएगी, अरे हम कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर लेते हैं, और हम अकोमोडेट करना शुरू कर देंगे लाइफ में, और वो ही तो नहीं करना है। इसका सोल्यूशन क्या है? क्या निवारण है इसका? द ओनली सोल्यूशन इज टू गिव इट अप एंड लेट इट गो। अगर हमारे दिमाग में प्रोग्रामिंग बनी हुई है, we are the only ones who can unprogram us, and we can only want to chuck it out by just saying, oh, I let go, I surrender, I let go, I surrender. ये वर्ड इतने पावरफुल हैं, इनको यूज करिए जब आपको कभी भी लगे कि आप कुछ ऐसा कर रहे हैं जो आपको नहीं करना चाहिए, जो आपको पता चल जाएगा। You are the best teacher, you're the best guide, you're the best therapist for your mind. Of course, we need professionals, and that's also okay. पर अगर आपके अंदर इतना वो है, तो please just let go. Our mind plays games, huh? Our mind would like to make us think that guilt is laudatory. Lord करना चाहिए उसको, करना चाहिए. And the guilt mongers of the world love to keep telling us this again and again and again, and they make a huge idol out of that. Now, which is more important to feel? Guilty or to change for the better? Now, if somebody owes us money, would we rather that they feel guilty about it or we pay us the money? अपने आप से पूछ के देखिए सवाल, क्या इंपॉर्टेंट है? गिल्ट है कि लाइफ में एकदम फ्लो में जा रहे हैं? कोई किसी को पैसे देने हमको, कि वो गिल्टी फील करे कि अरे मेरे को पैसे देने हैं, पैसे देने, पैसे देने, तब पैसे दे, या अपने आप पैसे दे दे जब वो दे पाए? क्या हम चाहते हैं लोग गिल्टी जाएं? क्या हम चाहते हैं हम गिल्टी जाएं? If we intend to feel guilty, we should at least consciously choose it instead of being unwittingly run by it. Don't let guilt run your life. You got to take up the reins of your life. आपकी इंद्रियों को आपको खींचना है. You should have the power. They should not have the power over you. Now, when we move from being selfish with a small s, we move into being selfish with a capital S. क्या मतलब हुआ? ईगो ट्रिप से लेकर हम अपने एक्चुअल पर्पस तक आ जाएंगे। अपना जो आई मी एंड आई एम, ओ आई मनीष, ओ आई अक्षय, ओ आई प्राची से हटके आई द हायर सेल्फ पे आ जाएंगे, आई द चैनल ऑफ लव पे आ जाएंगे। हमारा एकदम, एंड दैट सेल्फिशनेस इज ब्यूटिफुल, दिस सेल्फिशनेस इज बैड। लेकिन किसने बोला बैड? मैं एनालाइज करूं ना कि बैड है कि नहीं, मुझे पता है ना. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू मूव फ्रॉम सेल्फ हेट्रेड एंड पेटिनेस टू लविंगनेस एंड हार्मनी. जब मैं अपने से अंदर लव दे पाऊंगा सब लोग को, चाहे मैं जानता हूं चाहे नहीं, जब मुझे वर्ल्ड इज इन हार्मनी, लाइफ अपने आप सेट हो जाएगी, अपने आप बिना कुछ करे वो अपने आप मूवमेंट आ जाएगी. इन समेशन, instead of motivation of selfishness and desire, we can much more effortlessly bring into our life that which we want by envisioning what we wish to have happened. सिंपल चीजें हम पढ़ते आ रहे हैं, सीखते आ रहे हैं, प्रैक्टिस करते आ रहे हैं मैनिफेस्टेशन का. अगर हमारा मोटिवेशन है कि हमें हार्मनी दिखनी है, लव वर्ल्ड में हार्मनी दिखनी है, तो एफर्टलेसली हम उसको देखेंगे, एंजॉय करेंगे एंड वो आ जाएगा. हम मैनिफेस्ट करेंगे, वो आ जाएगा. वी डू दिस बाय डेक्लेरेशन ऑफ आवर इंटेंशन. एक मंशा रखते हैं, इंटेंशन रखते हैं, संकल्प रखते हैं कि हम एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हैं हमारे डिसीजन को, कि ये तो होगा ही, मैंने चूज किया है इस फीलिंग को, और चूज किया है तो ये हो गया है. So powerful. Now let's read the next beautiful chapter number 8, which is so important for us to understand. This chapter is called anger, and anger is what rules a lot of us. मुझे लगता है कोई भी इंसान नहीं होगा अभी भी जो हम लोग जुड़े हुए हैं बात कर रहे हैं जो बोलेगा मुझे कभी गुस्सा नहीं आया है. कोई भी नहीं होगा. क्यों? बिकॉज हमारी कंडीशनिंग है. हमें जब कुछ अपने हिसाब से, हमारे मन के हिसाब से नहीं होता, हमें गुस्सा आ जाता है, क्योंकि हमने एक डूज एंड डोंट्स, राइट्स एंड रॉन्ग्स बना रखे हैं. हमने एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं रखा हुआ कि जो होगा बहुत अच्छा होगा. कैसे लोग होते हैं, बहुत कम लोग होते हैं ना जो बोलते हैं जो होगा बहुत अच्छा होगा, या अगर बोलते भी हैं बट कई बार जब मन मुताबिक नहीं होता तो गुस्सा तो आ जाता है. अरे आज मुझसे आपा खो गया मेरा. क्यों? बिकॉज आज मेरे मन मुताबिक नहीं हुआ, मुझे बाद में रियलाइजेशन हुआ तो बहुत अमेजिंग हुआ. लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड this beautiful chapter of letting go. Chapter 8, anger. Anger may vary all the way from rage to mild resentment. It includes revenge, outrage, indignation, fury, jealousy, vindictiveness, spite, hatred, contempt, wrath, argumentativeness, hostility, sarcasm, impatience, frustration, negativity, aggression, violence, revulsion, meanness, rebellion, explosive behavior, agitation, abusiveness, abrasiveness, smoldering, sullenness, pouting, stubbornness. These variations of anger are well exemplified by daily news and television. ये सारे इमोशंस जो अभी ऊपर लिखे हैं, कहीं ना कहीं कभी ना कभी हमने करे हैं. जब कोई हमारी बात नहीं मानता, हमारा एक पर्सपेक्टिव होता है, हम आर्ग्यूमेंट करना शुरू कर लेते हैं. मैं अपना पहलू बता रहा हूँ उसको, लेकिन कैसे बता रहा हूँ? आर्ग्यूमेंट करके. चुप हो सकता हूँ ना, आई कैन लिसन टू द पर्सन हु इज सेइंग व्हाटएवर. उसके बाद बोलता हूँ आपने बोल लिया, अच्छा मेरा नजरिया ये है. मैं ऐसे बोल सकता हूँ, लेकिन मैं क्या बोलता हूँ, नहीं लेकिन मेरा बोलना तो है कि ऐसे 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 ऐसे. हम आर्ग्यू करते हैं. कब? जब गुस्सा आता है, झंझलाहट आती है, नेगेटिविटी में जाते हैं, कई बार वायलेंट हो जाते हैं, ऐसे राम रिस्ट पे डालते हैं. इट्स ऑल राइट. ये सब आपके आता है. अगर आपने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया तब ग्रेट. लेट्स गो फर्दर. Anger, it may come up about technique of surrendering itself. Anger, that one is expected to let go of feeling that in the past and have been valued. कई लोगों ने बोला ना, छोड़ दो यार, मिट्टी डाल दो, आगे बढ़ो. उसमें भी गुस्सा आता है कि क्यों बोल रहा है मुझे, आई डोंट वांट टू लीव इट. उसमें भी गुस्सा आ रहा है कि मुझे तो छोड़ना ही नहीं है, मैं तो गांड बांध के रखूंगा 25 साल तक. आई नॉट टॉक टू माय ब्रदर बिकॉज ही इज डन दिस टू मी. बट 20 साल के बाद पता ही नहीं गुस्सा क्यों हुआ था, किस बात पे हुआ था, लेकिन आई एम होल्डिंग ऑन टू द एंगर बिकॉज माय स्मॉल सेल्फ, माय ईगो इज गाइडिंग मी, इट्स गार्डिंग मी, इट्स प्रोटेक्टिंग मी, एंड इट्स टीचिंग मी, एंड आई एम नॉट टीचिंग इट, आई एम नॉट होल्ड. वो मुझे होल्ड करके चला रहा है. माय गुस्सा, माय एजिटेशन. आई एम नो लॉन्गर द सारथी. गुस्सा सारथी बन गया. आई बिकम द हॉर्स हु इज रनिंग नाउ. दैट्स लाइफ. Anger at the fear of loss. एक हो गया तो क्या होगा? Anger at the feeling in general. Anger as a feeling that does not relinquish immediately. There's a lot of energy in anger. Therefore, we actually feel energized when we're irritated or angry. जब आपको गुस्सा आता है, कैसे ब्लड गर्म हो जाता है, कैसे एकदम फुल ऑफ एनर्जी आ जाते हो. डाउन थोड़ी ना होते हो. यू लाइक ओ मैं तो ये कर लूंगा, मैं तो ये कर लूंगा, मैं तो ये कर लूंगा. बिकॉज इट्स एनर्जी वाला मैटर है. Now, one of the tricks people learn is to move up quickly from apathy and grief into anger, and then to jump from anger to pride and then into courage. In anger, there is energy for action. गुस्से में आप क्या बोल जाते हो, क्या कर जाते हो, पता भी नहीं चलता. People get away with murder also in anger. This results in doingness in the world. When the have-nots of the world become energized by desire and move up to anger over ourselves, over what they lack, that anger moves them into action, necessity to fulfill their dreams for a better life. Let's understand this. गुस्से में इतना ज्यादा एंगर, गुस्से और एंगर में इतनी ज्यादा एनर्जी है, ये हमको एक के बाद एक ऊपर जाती है. पहले स्मॉल सेल्फ प्राइड होता है, उसके बाद फाइनली हमको हिम्मत आती है चलो अब ये करेंगे. एंड जब गुस्से में होते हैं एक डूइंगनेस का हो जाता है कि मुझे ये करना है, मुझे कर गुजरना है. एंड जो हैव नॉट दुनिया में, मेरे पास ये नहीं है, मेरे पास वो नहीं है, मेरे पास वो नहीं, उनके ऊपर जब गुस्सा होता है, आक्रोश होता है कि मैं तो ये करके दिखाऊंगा, तब वो एक्शंस लेते हैं अपनी लाइफ में कि मैं अपने सपने पूरे करके दिखाऊंगा. मुझे तो गुस्सा है, मेरे को तो जेस्ट है. कई बार गुस्सा उसके लिए अच्छा है जहां आपको फर्दर ऑन ऊपर की पर्पस पे ले जा रहा है. लेकिन the quantity of suppressed anger in the population can be verified quickly by seeing how popular violence is in the media, where the viewers are presented with a vicarious experience of letting out anger in the form of beatings, shootings, stabbings, lynchings, killings of various bad guys. जब हम मीडिया में देखते हैं आक्रोश भर जाता है, हम भी वो we fall into that because we are being guided by anger. We typically feel so much guilt about anger that we find it necessary to make the subject of our anger wrong so that we can get our target and it's justified. अरे वो wrong था ना, इसलिए मैंने जो किया ठीक किया, वो deserve करता था. I had to lynch, I had to do this, I had to slap the person, I had to do this. हमें लगता है कि हमने जो भी किया ठीक है यार, because वो तो wrong था ना. क्योंकि हमें थोड़ा गिल्ट भी है और हमें लगता है कि अब हमको अपने आप को राइट प्रूफ करना है. अब राइट प्रूफ करना है तो उसको रॉन्ग प्रूफ करना पड़ेगा, रॉन्ग प्रूफ करना पड़ेगा तो बोलना पड़ेगा. वेरी फ्यू पीपल take responsibility for their own anger and say I am angry because I am full of angriness. बहुत कम लोग बोलते हैं कि मुझे गुस्सा आ रहा है because मेरे अंदर गुस्सा भरा हुआ है. नहीं, मेरे अंदर गुस्सा भरा पड़ा है, उसने ही रॉन्ग किया. अगेन ब्लेम गेम. एक्सेप्टेंस कर रहे हैं हम. हमको अपने आप से पूछना चाहिए, जब मुझे गुस्सा आ रहा है, मैं एक्सेप्ट कर रहा हूँ कि मुझे गुस्सा आ रहा है. हमने ग्रेटेस्ट सीक्रेट में पढ़ा था, इफ यू रिमेंबर, वेलकमिंग. कभी कुछ इमोशन आए, उसको वेलकम करना चाहिए, इमोशन को आने दीजिए. अगर आज मन कर रहा है कि रोना है, रो लीजिए यार, किसने जज करना है, रो लीजिए. लेकिन अपने आप को टाइमलाइन दे दीजिए कि मैं इतने घंटे रोने वाला हूँ, इसके बाद मैं कुछ भी हो जाए उठ के खड़ा हो जाऊंगा. This is something from Oprah Winfrey I had learned many, many years ago. She has these talks. She said, when you're feeling an emotion, allow the feeling to come in your body, let it manifest, let it express, and give yourself a timeline that I have to move out of this, and I will. It's one of the most important take-backs I've learned ever. So, Rhonda Byrne ने बताया कि welcome करो emotion को, allow it to stay, सो दैट आप उसको एक्सपैंड नहीं कर रहे हो, रिटेलिएट नहीं कर रहे हो, अपोज नहीं कर रहे हो, बढ़ चढ़ के नहीं आएगा. लेकिन अगर आपने टाइमलाइन दे दी अपने आप को कि इसके बियॉन्ड नहीं, देन आपने एक गोल बना दिया, व्हिच इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू क्रिएट समथिंग. अब गुस्से को पॉजिटिवली कैसे यूज कर सकते हैं, लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड. It's common for people to repress their anger, aggression, and inner hostility. They view it as unpleasant, undignified, even as a moral failure, spiritual setback. हमें समाज ने कंडीशन करा हुआ है कि गुस्से को दबा लो, अच्छा गुस्से को पी लो. ऐसी ऐसी बातें हमें सुनने में आती कि इतना गुस्सा अच्छा नहीं है, छोड़ दे, पानी पी ले. We've been taught that कि इट्स नॉट गुड, इट्स नॉट गुड, डिग्निफाइड नहीं है. अच्छे बच्चे से गुस्सा नहीं करते, या अच्छे नहीं करते, या शॉर्ट टेम्पर्ड नहीं होते. सरल बन जाओ, सिंपल बन जाओ, ये बन जाओ. रियलाइज नहीं करता समाज कि repressed anger is nonetheless the energy of anger, and if not acknowledged and worked through, it will have deleterious consequences to the health and overall progress. आधी बार ये repressed गुस्से की वजह से बीमारियां मैनिफेस्ट होती हैं क्योंकि हमने टैकल ही नहीं करा उसको उस समय. अगर बच्चे उस समय रो रहा है, आपने देखा होगा कई बच्चों को, अगर वो पीट रहा है अपना हाथ पैर फ्लोर पे, छोड़ दो उसको, अपने आप ठंडा हो जाएगा. उसका वो पेंट अप एनर्जी निकल गई. बोला नहीं बेटा ओके, आई गिव यू चॉकलेट, ओ बेटा आई गिव यू दिस. उस पर्सन को आदत पड़ जाएगी, जब मुझे गुस्सा आएगा मुझे खाने की जरूरत है, वो इनकम्प्लीट हो जाएगा, वो डिपेंडेंट हो जाएगा. So very important, जब आपको भी गुस्सा आए, let it pass. Now the intention behind anger is negative, obviously, but it will have similar consequences if it is not expressed. आपको पता है गुस्सा आया, नेगेटिविटी की वजह से आया, लेकिन अगर आपने एक्सप्रेस नहीं किया तो ऑब्वियसली और बुरा बद से बदतर होगा. Now the helpful approach is to view the energy of anger positively and to use it to fire up our ambitions and our actions in a powerful way. For instance, let's say that we are angry at our boss. We feel resentful. He never ceases to acknowledge our abilities or efforts, but we know it's unwise to express anger and resentment. It would have very likely results in, and we may lose our job. And it may bring on the continued resentment for the boss. At best, the expression of anger would result in a tacky situation. Instead, we can make a decision to use that energy in a constructive way in our own behalf. It can be the inspiration for us to create a project that, because of its excellence, proves our point. मेरा बॉस मुझे ऑब्जर्व नहीं करता, ठीक है, समझ में आ रहा है, अब मैं ऐसा कुछ करके दिखाऊंगा कि वो ऑब्जर्व करेगा ही करेगा. And that is using the anger in a good place. It might be the energy of us to move up and out of situation that is unsatisfactory. We can utilize that energy to create new job opportunities, to find a happy job, a better job, form a committee, improve our employment situation, start a union, or whatever we think would benefit our personal goals. पर्सनल गोल्स को बेनिफिट करने के लिए जो भी एनर्जी आ रही है, गुस्से आक्रोश से भी आ रही है, सर माथे पे, एंड उसको यूज करके बेटर चीज बनाओ. हम बोलते ना सोसाइटी में इतना अत्याचार हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है, करप्शन हो रहा है, तो भैया खड़े क्यों नहीं हो रहे हो, बातें बातें कर रहे हो. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर गेटिंग इनटू पॉलिटिक्स? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर स्टैंडिंग टेकिंग स्टैंड फॉर योरसेल्फ? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर स्टार्टिंग स्मॉल, अपनी कॉलोनी में ही काम शुरू कर लो? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर फॉर्मिंग कमिटी? हाउ मेनी? बोलने में सब एक्सपर्ट हो, शुरू कौन कर रहा है? सो यूज योर एंगर. अगर आपको एंगर है तो इन अ गुड वे बनाइए उसको. अब पर्सनल रिलेशनशिप में अगर आपको एंगर है, सेम अपॉर्चुनिटी एग्जिस्ट वहां भी करती है. अगर आपको अपने स्पाउस पे किसी पे, पेरेंट पे, बच्चे पे अगर एंगर है तो यूटिलाइज करिए, अपने आप को इंस्पायर करिए कि मैं कम्युनिकेशन बेटर कर पाऊँ. आपको कोर्स लेना है, कोर्स ले लो इंटरपर्सनल रिलेशनशिप. फिर ऑना बर्न के जो 3-4 चैप्टर्स है वो कर लो, लुइस के जो चैप्टर्स है वो कर लो, एंड इम्प्रूव कर लो. सेल्फ इम्प्रूवमेंट प्रोग्राम में हम सब यही कर रहे हैं ना, मॉर्निंग में सेल्फ इम्प्रूव कर रहे हैं. हमने रजिस्टर, हमने तो ये वाला पार्ट कर लिया. इससे क्या होता है, हमें अब समझ में आती है फाइनल साइंसेस लाइफ की. Anger can inspire us to rededicate ourselves. Anger can inspire us to put forth greater clarity of effort, कि हम better काम कर पाए. In this way, the situation can result in recommitment. It can inspire us to look within ourselves and relinquish all the negative feelings via acceptance. Instead of being mad about it, we just accept it. कि हाँ मुझे गुस्सा आ रहा है, लेकिन मैं इस गुस्से को, मैं किसी को अब्यूज नहीं करूंगा, पीठ पीछे बात नहीं करूंगा, मैं कुछ क्रिएट करूंगा जिससे मैं ऑब्जर्व हो पाऊं, जिससे मेरी रिलेशनशिप बेटर हो पाए. मुझे गुस्सा है कि मेरा हस्बैंड गुटखा खा रहा है, मेरा हस्बैंड ड्रिंक कर रहा है, मेरा हस्बैंड स्मोक कर रहा है, मेरी वाइफ लेज कर रही है, काम नहीं कर रही, तो मैं कुछ ऐसा करता हूँ जिससे वो लेना बंद हो जाए. I can distract him or her. I can create some systems. I can use my anger in using something constructive, self-improvement. Maybe I can enroll him and me for classes and her and me for something. Now let's understand about this huge exaggerated word called self-sacrifice. Now there are many sources of anger. We already have mentioned that very often, a complex of angry feeling connected with fear. And the anger disappears when we let go of the fear. आपने कभी ऑब्जर्व करा अगर होगा, आज कभी नेक्स्ट टाइम गुस्सा आए तो गुस्से के साथ एक डर आता है. वो डर के लिए हम ज्यादा गुस्सा हमको आता है, क्योंकि हमको डर होता है. अगर हम डर को हम सवाल करें कि मुझे डर जो है वर्स्ट टू वर्स्ट क्या हो जाएगा, एंड जब आपने इस सवाल का जवाब आया, एकदम से आप हल्के फील करते हो व्हेन यू लेट गो. इतना ही, चलो देखा जाएगा, लेट्स सी, होगा ना, इमीडिएटली ठंडे हो जाओगे आप. Another source of anger is that of pride, especially that aspect of pride called vanity. Frequently, it is a personal pride that feeds and propagates anger. May, I, you, your smaller self. One source of pride is connected with self-sacrifice. if our relationships with others associated with our small self in form of sacrifice, then we're setting ourselves up for the later anger. Because the other person is usually unaware of us as sacrifice and is therefore unlikely to fulfill our expectations. अगर मैं sacrifice कर रहा हूँ अपने बीवी बच्चों के लिए या अपने husband बच्चों के लिए और मैं उसके बारे में बात ही नहीं करता हूँ, बताता ही नहीं हूँ और मेरी एक्सपेक्टेशंस उन लोगों से हैं, क्या वो भगवान जी हैं, उनको पता है कि आप कर रहे हो? हर समय तो नहीं पता होगा ना। सो आपको आक्रोश होगा कि मैंने तो लाइफ लॉन्ग सैक्रिफाइस किया और देखो मेरी कदर ही नहीं है। बच्चे आज पलट के बोल रहे हैं, बहुत ज्यादा फादर्स के साथ ये होता है। बच्चे बोलते हैं हमने कहा था क्या कि आप इतना सैक्रिफाइस करो, और फादर बोलता है मैं तो करते हुए उस गुस्सा आता है कि बच्चे रिस्पेक्ट नहीं कर रहे। तो ऐसा करना क्यों जिससे आपको ऐसा है? क्यों नहीं आप बोलते कि जो भी मेरा कर्तव्य है, जो भी मेरे फर्ज हैं, जो भी मेरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज है, लेट मी ड्यू टू द बेस्ट ऑफ माई एबिलिटी। व्हाई डू आई हैव टू से मैं सैक्रिफाइस कर रहा हूँ? क्यों अपने आप को इतना ऊपर ले जाकर कर रहा हूँ सैक्रिफाइस? Example of this comes from a day in the life of a typical traditional marriage. The wife spends the entire day working hard cleaning the house, meticulously looking out for plants, bringing in flowers, rearranging some furniture, doing all she can to make the house look beautiful. Now, when the husband comes home, he doesn't say a word about the house or even seems to notice. Instead, he's exhausted from a day at work. He recounts its various trials and tribulations. In his mind, he's thinking of all self sacrifices he has made: the irate customers, the arduous drive through commuter traffic, the irritable boss, the pressure of deadlines. He's thinking of all that he's done for his wife and family. While he's thinking of all these hardships, she's feeling a mounting resentment that he hasn't even acknowledged her efforts. And she goes back in her mind over all the sacrifices she made that day. She could have gotten lunch out with her friends. She could have finished reading the book she was really loving. She could have watched her favorite television program on television. Instead, she did all of this for him. And now he's making no comments. क्यों हो रहा है ये? दोनों हार्बर कर रहे हैं ग्रजेस एक दूसरे के अगेंस्ट, फ्रस्ट्रेशन, रिजेंटमेंट, दोनों का गुस्सा अंदर का बढ़ रहा है. It is expressed as coolness and detachment, and they escape into television for the evening and go into bed silently to brood over the grievances. अब दबा दिया, बोलने से तो अच्छा नहीं है ना, तब क्या करें? माइंड बदल दिया, टीवी देख लिया, अब उससे अपने आप को दबा दिया, उसको लेट गो ही नहीं किया और अंदर दबा दिया. अब वो क्या होगा? धीरे धीरे किसी दिन वो राई का पहाड़ बन जाएगा, वो फट जाएगा वो ज्वालामुखी. क्यों? क्योंकि आपने उसको दबा दिया. You can't put these to bed. बोलते हैं रात को सोने से पहले सब क्लियर कर लो. क्लियर किया क्या हमने, या अपने अंदर दबा के सो गए? Such a typical scene in every household. It's almost something which is repeated again and again and again. It's so commonness, it speaks of the learning values to us. We can examine and try to unravel this decline of a relationship. Very important that what we want, what we desire, and what we insist upon from another person is felt by them as pressure. कभी देखा आपने आपको, जब आपकी फैमिली आपसे एक्सपेक्ट करती है, कैसे प्रेशराइज्ड फील करते हैं ना हम, और वही फैमिली बोलेगी कि बेटा जो भी करोगे अच्छे मन लगा के करोगे, तो आप दुगना मन लगा के करोगे, तो प्रेशर ही नहीं है. अब आपको उनको हैप्पी करना है, प्रेशर नहीं है, पर आपको अपनी खुशी से करना है. दोनों में बहुत फर्क नहीं है, लेकिन बहुत ज्यादा फर्क है. पर्पस वही है, पर तरीका एक में खुशी है और एक में प्रेशर है. अगर आपने अपने आप को प्रेशर कुकर की तरह बना लिया, प्रेशर कुकर कैसे होता है ना, आप उसको प्रेशर से एकदम सीढ़ी ऊपर हो जाती है, और अपने आप ठंडा होगा तो ठीक है, और अगर आप उसको निकालोगे फोर्सिबली जूम करके निकलेगा. So let's stop becoming pressure cookers. Let's stop cooking ourselves with so much of pressure. Let's take life a little easy. क्या हो जाएगा? आज नहीं होगा कल होगा, कल नहीं होगा परसों हो जाएगा. मैं ये नहीं बोल रही हम लेट गो कर लें अपने गोल्स को, ड्रीम्स को, उनको कीप पोस्टपोनिंग करते रहें, लेकिन कभी याद नहीं हो रहा, अगर मर्फीज लॉ कुछ हो गया, समथिंग हैज टू गो रॉन्ग एंड गोज रॉन्ग, इट्स ओके फॉर अस टू एक्सेप्ट. गुस्सा नहीं आना चाहिए कि अरे मैं इतना कर रहा था और ये गुस्सा आ गया. They will therefore unconsciously resist. In the above example, both persons looking for acknowledgement. They want it, they desired, and they block it in each other. Each side is feeling pressurized and consequently resistant. क्यों pressurized हो रहे हैं each side? बीवी को हस्बैंड खुश करना है, घर दिखा के प्रेशर ले रही है और काम कर रही है बहुत सारा, चाहती तो वही काम 4 दिन में करती है, पर एक साथ की उसको वैलिडेशन चाहिए, उसको एक्नॉलेजमेंट चाहिए। हस्बैंड बोल रहे घर आऊं थका हारा और ये मुझसे एक्सपेक्ट कर रही है, उसको चाहिए कि पानी ला दूं, खाना ला दूं या whatever. The resistance is because pressure is always felt by us as a denial of our choice. It is felt as emotional blackmail. The unconscious formula goes, give me what I want, or I will punish you by withdrawal, anger, pouting, sulking, and resentment. इसको प्लीज अंडरलाइन कर लीजिए, because this is how life is. अपना इतना प्रेशर मत लो कि जब को प्रेशर का आपको आपको इतनी आदत पड़ जाए, आप एक्सपेक्ट करो किसी से कुछ. We all resent feelings and we feel emotionally blackmailed. We all know the resistance we feel when we become aware that somebody is fishing for a compliment. And the same resistance goes on unconsciously as well as consciously. When we are motivated by self-sacrifice, we are pressurizing the other person. If we force an acknowledgement, it will be a disgruntled one. अच्छा किया ना मैंने, अच्छा किया ना, हाँ बताओ ना, अच्छा है ना. मैं force कर रहा हूँ out of somebody. और आप अपने आप ऑब्जर्व करके बोलोगे, it's so nice, how wonderful, amazing. A forced compliment does not satisfy you. फिर आप ढूंढोगे, अरे इसने बोला हाँ, फिर आप दूसरे अच्छा है ना, अच्छा है ना, अच्छा है ना. You're going to just keep, क्योंकि वो आपको मिला ही नहीं जो आपको चाहिए था, आपने वो फोर्स करके मंगवाया, तो अब आप कहीं और जा रहे हो. Let's understand part of the anger here arises from the pride of self-sacrifice. जब sacrifice करते हो तो आप expect करते हो, चाहे आप बोलो कि मैं expect नहीं कर रहा, मैं sacrifice कर नहीं, आप expect कर रहे हो. We have a certain secret vanity about what we are doing for others. And our pride of achievement makes us vulnerable to anger when our sacrifice is not recognized. तभी फादर्स गुस्सा हो जाते हैं बच्चों से, या बीवियां हस्बैंड से, हस्बैंड बीवी से, कि वो उन्होंने तो सैक्रिफाइस किया और आपने एक्नॉलेज नहीं किया. आप वल्नरेबल हो, मेरे सैक्रिफाइस को लोग देखें, बताएं कि अरे मेरा इतना किया, इसने तो इतना किया. तभी कभी जब हस्बैंड्स को अवार्ड या वाइफ्स को अवार्ड मिलते हैं, वो अपने काउंटर पार्ट को एक्नॉलेज करना भूल जाते हैं, वो गुस्सा हो जाता है, अरे तुम्हारे लिए तो मैंने इतना किया, तुमने तो पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म पे जाके बोला भी नहीं मेरे लिए. वैलिडेशन चाहिए ना. The way to offset this anger is to acknowledge and relinquish the pride. Surrender our desire for the pleasure of self-pity and instead view our efforts on behalf of others as gifts. How beautiful. अगर हम अपने गुस्से को acknowledge कर लें कि pride नहीं है, it's okay, and मुझे ये मन हुआ, मैंने करा, and मैंने self pity के लिए नहीं किया और दूसरों के वाहवाही के लिए नहीं किया, और ये मेरे अंदर गिफ्ट है, मैंने करा एंड मुझे मजा आया करने में. कोई देखे तो ठीक है, नहीं देखे तो ठीक है. तब हमें क्या होगा, वी कैन एक्सपीरियंस द जॉय ऑफ बीइंग जेनरस विद अदर्स एज इट्स ओन रिवॉर्ड. कि मैं तो जेनरस हूँ यार, मैं तो कर लेता हूँ यार, मैं सैक्रिफाइस थोड़ी ना कर रहा हूँ. आई एम बीइंग जेनरस, मेरी तो नेचर है टू बी जेनरस. मैं क्यों वैलिडेशन मांग रहा हूँ, क्यों एक्नॉलेजमेंट मांग रहा हूँ. Tomorrow we'll read about acknowledgement. This is a very important part in anger का chapter, because acknowledgement की वजह से आधी चीजें आती हैं. हम सब, इवन जो सोशल मीडियाज हैं, ट्विटर्स हैं, फेसबुक्स हैं, इंस्टाग्राम्स हैं, we are all looking for acknowledgements, validation, so they're thriving. We share a picture of us, we share a part of us, because we all are waiting to be acknowledged. कोई भी यहाँ पर नहीं होगा जो बोलेगा मुझे कॉम्प्लीमेंट्स पसंद नहीं. Not one person. All of us are looking for these. The only thing I request all of you is to now think today about ये sacrificial lamb जो हमने अपने आप को बनाया हुआ है, या जो हम एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं लोगों से, अगर हम इसको कन्वर्ट कर लें, कि हम एक्नॉलेज कर लें कि भैया मेरी तो नेचर है टू बी जेनरस, इट्स ओके, आई एम जस्ट दैट, मुझे तो वैलिडेशन नहीं चाहिए, और ये तो एक गिफ्ट है मेरे पास, एंड इट्स ओके. सर माथे पे जो भी आने वाला है, then we can truly feel this world of joy and aliveness and being there. So thank you, Rahul sir, for showcasing this book for all of us today. Tomorrow we'll begin with acknowledgement, because it's yet another beautiful day tomorrow, where each one of us will learn the science behind, oh, how do chemical reactions in our body go when it comes to acknowledgements. Life is absolutely beautiful. once we start understanding the deep science कि हम कैसे conditioned है, और सबसे बड़ी बात, हम अपने आप को जज करना बंद कर दें, हम एक्सेप्ट करना शुरू कर दें कि जैसा मैं हूँ, क्यों हूँ, एंड कैसे, हाउ, व्हाट इज माय प्रोग्रामिंग। सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है हम अपने आप को पहचानें। Some creative people are visionaries. So let's look over the horizons. ये तो हमें पता है ना, कई लोग विजनरीज होते हैं, दूर की सोच लेते हैं। Is it innate or a technique? It helps to see over the horizon, said entrepreneur Ted Turner. Most people are too preoccupied with the present to look for ahead. अच्छा, इसमें भी मैं चैलेंज करना चाहूंगी, मोस्ट पीपल टू preoccupied with the present नहीं है, वो कहाँ ऑक्यूपाइड है, मंडेन अनइम्पॉर्टेंट चीजों में, ख्यालों में, चाहे वो पास्ट के चाहे वो फ्यूचर के, बट प्रेजेंट में नहीं रहते। जब वो प्रेजेंट में नहीं रहते तो वो कहीं ना कहीं ख्याली पुलाव बना रहे हैं, दे कांट सी द फ्यूचर। Now, why is Ted Turner regarded as a visionary entrepreneur? In the 70s, Ted Turner could see that the traditional 9 to 5 working day was obsolete. Working hours were becoming more flexible. This was at odds with TV schedules. TV stations rigidly timetabled the new programs between 6 and 10 p.m. Turner's idea was a 24-hour channel called CNN that anyone could dip into at any time. Now, CNN covered worldwide news as it unfolded. Unlike the highly edited and smooth presentation mainstream channel, CNN was live, raw, immediate. Events like Poland's Solidarity Strike, China's Tiananmen Square uprising, and the 1991 Gulf War were beamed straight into the living rooms. The reporters were breathless and unscripted. Impromptu. Ted Turner revolutionized news reporting and had a big hand in the creation of the global village. Now, CNN became the most coveted channel, the world's most talked about channel, the most widely internationally distributed news channel ever, because from 4 hour slot, it went to 24-hour slot. And अब फिल्ट्रेशन की जरूरत ही नहीं है, अब जो जैसे आ रहा है, अभी आया फटाफट बोल दिया, impromptu, raw. Turner read an article about communication satellites and realized he could use a satellite to reach the whole of North America and rival established TV stations. He was a visionary in the sense that he tried to work out what changes were coming in broadcasting and made sure he implemented them first. जिसने पहले implement कर लिया वो king हो गया, first movers advantage. Idea आया, quickly उसको encash कर लिया, चाहे गलत सलत ही हुआ, उसे सीखा ही हो, but first movers advantage. Now, after Turner's father's suicide in 1963, he took over a small family billboard business, saved it from bankruptcy, and turned it around. How? Turner applied his visionary process to the billboard advertising industry, the restaurant business, television, professional sports. He looked into their futures and then brought them into the present, each time creating multi-million-dollar businesses that enabled him to give over $1 billion to charity. इसलिए मैं बोलती हूँ, अपने आप को एंडलेस करो, प्राइसलेस करो, पैसा अपने आप आ जाएगा, उसके साथ क्या करना है, पैसा लाने में गिल्ट फील मत करो कि मुझे इतना पैसा तो क्या करूंगा मैं, बहुत कुछ करूंगा, आने तो दो, ब्रिंग इट ऑन, ब्रिंग इट ऑन। एनर्जी है, एनर्जी को क्यों स्टॉप करना है, क्यों गिल्ट आना चाहिए, क्यों नहीं आना चाहिए, क्यों नहीं आना चाहिए, किसने बोला? Yesterday I was talking to a therapist of mine, and she's telling me that, you're a light worker and you should work in the field of light. I said, no, I have factories to run and I can't charge for my spirituality. It doesn't echo with me. She's like, whoever said that? She's like, I'll break the belief of yours. मेरी conditioning है ना. So हम सब conditioned people हैं. It's okay to accept कि हम conditioned हैं. जब हमें पता चलेगा कि problem है, तभी तो हम उसका निवारण खोजेंगे. Let's read a story. One morning, when Gregor Samsa rose from troubled dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a horrible Vernon. This is the opening sentence of Franz Kafka's classic The Metamorphosis, which was first published in 1950. Gregor finds himself suddenly transformed into a giant insect. He doesn't know why or how. He simply wakes up to find the world absurdly different, a classic Kafka scenario. Kafka is considered a visionary writer who was years and years ahead of his time. His vision has evolved into an adjective, Kafkaesque, a term that describes a bleak world from where people suffer trials for no reason and struggle with obscure authorities. Kafka worked as an insurance officer. He looked at the complicated bureaucracy he was a small part of and tried to predict where it could lead. His stories anticipate the rise of totalitarianism and the Holocaust. He could see the seeds of what was to take being planted around him and simply imagine it take to an extreme. So he was an extremist, a visionary who saw something beyond something and just knew, okay, worst, what's going to happen. Keith Haring was a visionary artist whose imagery is an instantly recognizable visual language of the 20th century. At the School of Visual Arts, New York, in the early 1980s, he started drawing, painting, sculpture, and art history. He developed a fluid use of line. His distinctive style was based on bold graphic icons such as hearts, hands, radiant baby that often merged with abstract patterns to create richly packaged compositions. Now, having looked out for the seeds of the next important art movement, which had always emerged in the downtown galleries before moving uptown, he worked as an assistant in Tony Shafrazi Gallery and gained an inside knowledge of the newest trends. The downtown gallery started to exhibit the graffiti artists who were blossoming on the streets and subway, but the work was formulaic, gaudy, multicolored, lettering. Every graffiti artist had the same style. Haring saw his chance. He aligned himself with the movement, but his hard-edged black line and use of symbolic imagery stood out. He had a solo exhibition at the Tony Shafrazi Gallery and soon afterwards stepped into the art history. Q. All of these people that we've seen have a vision beyond the ordinary. They can see something, which they can create something iconic, something which is just them. Visionaries do not literally have visions. They simply try to work out what the upcoming developments in their field are likely to be and implement them before anyone else. Most people are too busy myopically coping with day-to-day events to lift their heads up and look over the horizon. Leonard Lauder. A visionary is someone who can see the future or thinks he sees the future. In my case, I use it and it comes out right. That doesn't come from daydreams or dreams, but it comes from knowing the market and knowing the world and knowing people really well, knowing where they're going to be tomorrow. So let's look out for the future. Let's look at the future. Let's look at what the future has for all of us. This is what's said by Leonard Lauder. And let's just realize that all of us have a visionary inside of us. Have we unleashed him or her out? Have we started thinking of something which is good for the future, for others and for us and a bright future ahead? And let the creative person in you come out and then see what magics you're creating. This is how life. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Rahul sir. And now we'll do our meditation. And as I said yesterday and day before, I'm going to be reading from our book and I'm going to intertwine that into our meditation. The heart thought will come in as part of a meditation. So Rahul sir, because today Akshay is here, maybe we can allow him to co-record. He can record it for us. Today's affirmation is beautiful. It says, I give over my problems and sleep peacefully. So I'm going to intertwine a meditation around this and we can just name it as giving away problems. All right. So everyone's eyes closed. Postures to be checked. Take a deep breath in and out. In and out. In and out. All of us live in a world of magic where life is truly magical. Life is noteworthy. Life is a divine journey. Let's tune into ourselves and realize that yes, life is magical. And yet, let's face a fact that we operate with only less than 10% of our brain. And let's find out what is the other 90% for. Think about it. We've created so much in our life with only mere short, small percentage of it. Imagine the unlimited possibility of finding the magical world in the 90% blind area where we've never used. Let's understand that we are so capable of whatever we desire. All we have to do is feel the internal and the external and the eternal oneness with whatever we want. Manifest it, see it clearly, and attract it in our lives. Let's understand after a long day at work, each one of us needs to slow down, relax, rejuvenate. So we've been gifted this beautiful quality, this beautiful virtue, this beautiful activity of sleeping. Sleep is a time to restore ourselves and wrap up the day. Our bodies repair themselves and become renewed and refreshed. Our minds move into the dream state where problems of the day are solved. We prepare ourselves for the new day ahead. As we enter the sleep state, we want to take positive thoughts with us. So we wake up in an attitude of gratitude, thanking our bed, thanking our breath, thanking our life, thanking maybe the cosmos, the universe, the Mother Earth, maybe the life around us. But as we enter the sleep state, we want to take positive thoughts with us, thoughts that will create a wonderful new day and a wonderful new future. So again, we could be probably sleeping with gratitude, maybe a magic rock, maybe expressing eternal gratitude over the day that we've spent. And maybe looking at tomorrow in advance as a mental picture and be grateful for the outcome. So let's realize if we don't have gratitude and if there is any anger or any blame in us, what do we have to do? Wouldn't that create some problem with our thinking? Because we are full of anger, we can't see straight. So let's let it go. Before we sleep, if there's any resentment or fear, let it go. If there's any jealousy or rage, let it go. If there's any guilt or need to punish, any kind of punishment lingering in your mind, in the corners of your minds, let the corners clean, let it go. Feel only peace in your mind and body as you drift off to sleep. Be enveloped in a world of love and light. The night is magical, full of opportunities for you to create whatever you desire. So let's remember to give away all our problems and sleep peacefully. Let's remember if there's a tiff with somebody, talk about it basically, think of the worst that can happen, and let your anger fade. More than the second person, you can help yourself much more clearly. Why do I feel the anger? Why is it that I'm tuned into something which is not normal? Let me let it go. I give away my problems and I simply let go. And so it is. Let's be grateful to Mother Earth for giving us this beautiful grounding energy, for taking away all the negatives in our body. When we let go, we know all of these pent up emotions, regressions, suppressed feelings leave our body and are going into Mother Earth. She turns them into positive vibrations. So, dear Mother Earth, thank you, thank you, thank you. As we look at our eye level, eyes closed, let's thank the wonderful life that we've lived. Trials and tribulations, knocks and shocks, highs and lows, all kind of experiences, good or bad. Let's count our blessings for whatever has happened for a reason. Knowing that we can't see the larger picture, and let's trust the process of life. Let's thank our past, let's thank our present, let's be thankful for our future. Let's know one thing in our heart. We will only do things which are conducive for our growth mentally, for something that gives us peace. We will keep ourselves clean, and we will now sleep peacefully and wake up happily, energized. Now let's look up at the universe above, open our hands, and be grateful for all the abundance we've been given throughout our lives, for all the money we've been given throughout our lives, for all the love we've given throughout life. Dear universe, let these expand as much as possible. Let us each become channels of love, light, energy, abundance, and blessings. Thank you for having our back. Dear divinities, thank you for blessing us with the world's choicest blessings. Dear angels, thank you for guiding us. Dear guardians, thank you for protecting us. And dear teachers, in whichever realm you are, thank you for always teaching us the priceless, beautiful lessons. Let's fold our hands with a lot of love, light, and gratitude for everything in our life. Rub them together with this beautiful energy. Bless your face. Maybe see better, hear better, speak better, feel better, resonate better. Bless your neck, your back, upper, middle, lower, hips, sexual organs, excretory organs, back of your thighs, back of your knees, back of your calves, your soles, above part of your soles, your feet, calves, knees, thighs, the entire gut area, large and small intestines, liver, stomach, gallbladder, kidneys, uterus. Bless your lungs, let them expand, let the diaphragm expand, let you be breathing more beautifully, deeper breaths. Let the heart be blessed, made grow with more love, more light. And now let's bless each other and all sentient beings on Mother Earth with the energy that flows within us. Love, light, and blessings, Pratima ji, Manish, Vijay ji, Jitendra ji, Dr. Kamakshi, Minakshi, Akshay, Usha ji, Shivani, Manisha, Rahul sir, Amrita ma'am, Arvind ji, Veena ji. Lots of love and light to all sentient beings, to all virtual participants. Be blessed, my loved ones. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's see each other tomorrow morning at 5 in case you have nothing to share. But if you do have a question to ask or something to share, please go ahead. Akshay, so yes, I just mentioned, I think probably we missed it, giving away our problems. Thank you, my dear. Thank you so much for all your love and your recordings. Thank you, everyone. God bless us all.